Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are going to be talking about my Chicago Bears and their draft grades. Let's get started with today's video, but first we have a quick couple announcements that I need to get to first. Some housekeeping. So let's get to number one on the agenda. Number one being that I have a poll out on my community tab on my YouTube page. So if you want to find it, just go click down there on my channel, go to my community tab, and then pick whether you want me to do NCAA previews or NFL predictions. They're both the same thing. I just call them one or another just based off previews and predictions. But they're both predictions on their schedules. It doesn't matter the name. But I just call them two different things. I'd only do one or the other this summer, so go ahead and pick which one you want me to do. I will still do the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, and the Vikings record predictions, but otherwise, for the NFL, if I do NCAA predictions and if I do NFL predictions, I'll still do Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Clemson, maybe like a Oklahoma and Alabama, stuff like that, some of the big teams out there. So go ahead and pick that out. That's the biggest item on the agenda. And then make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers now that I am halfway there by the end of my high school career, which is exactly 1 year from now. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. As always, let's get started with today's video. So with pick number 39, I had the Chicago Bears selected Kyler Gordon, cornerback out of Washington. Kyler Gordon is simply and obviously just a player that the Bears need. Gordon fills a role very easily as CB2, a role that the Bears have been looking for quite some time that hasn't been filled since the leaving of Kyle Fuller, or you could even say going back all the way to Prince Amukamara. Because of this, you had Ryan Poles, who focused on fixing this position right away, and he did that with the selection of Kyler Gordon in round 2 with the 7th pick in the second round, and I think that this is a steal. I had him as a very early second round pick to late first round pick, depending on how cornerbacks went. So I think that this is a steal. I'd give this pick an A. It fills a massive need. It really does, and the Bears need this. So now with the next pick, because I do kind of want to combine the two, with these two picks, I think that the Bears secondary is set for the next 4 or 5 years. Maybe you need to pick up a free safety if you have Eddie Jackson leave. But other than that, Jalen Johnson still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. But I'm pretty sure you can re-sign him. You still have Roquan Smith. You still need to re-sign him. But you're looking at 3 to 4 years of control, most of these guys, and you're looking at a very solid backfield. So let's head on to the next pick. You have Jaquan Brisker, the safety out of Penn State, and I'm telling you guys, he is a duplicate of Adrian Amos, a hard-hitting guy, a physical guy, a great leader of the defense, and that's exactly what we're looking for, and that perfectly allows Eddie Jackson to go right back into his role as free safety. I kind of wonder, this is the make or break year. It's either, Eddie, you do what you need to do, or you're gone. It's one or the other. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new regime. So you had problems with Matt Nagy or Chuck Pagano or Sean Desai or whatever. That's what happens. So I really just think, but let me address this real quickly. The big elephant in the room with this Bears draft is they didn't draft a wide receiver until round 3, and they've drafted Velus Jones Jr., which I'm not going to get into right now. But to start off, I think that the selection of solidifying your depth here at this position is the correct move. My pick, if Christian Watson would have been available at 39, would have been Christian Watson. But Christian Watson wasn't available, neither did Treylon Burks fall, or any of the other, could they fall maybe to 39 people? No, they didn't. So I'm fine with the Bears not getting that selection in that particularly. That's fine. I liked Alec Pierce at 48, but at the same time, Jaquan Brisker is a great leader, and maybe on their boards with the Bears, he was the better player available. And even then, I kind of liked Alec Pierce more as a third-round pick rather than a second. But like I understand him as a second-round pick. Again, if there's a possibility of trading back, which I assume there was, I just think that there wasn't the value that Poles was looking for. I am happy with these selections. Just purely off these selections, I give the Kyle Gordon pick an A and the Jaquan Brisker pick a B+. With the 71st overall pick, the Chicago Bears selected Velus Jones Jr., wide receiver / special teamer out of Tennessee. So let's go over Velus Jones Jr. skills, and then let's head on to what my grade is and what we think he will fill out as. So, as a return man, he has had great ability both at Southern Cal and I would say USC, but I live in South Carolina, and I've learned in the past 6 years that USC means South Carolina. No, it doesn't, but whatever. Then he transferred to Tennessee and has spent the last 2 to 3 years there developing. The biggest issue with him is his age. I don't care. I don't care whatsoever. If you get an entire rookie contract out of him for a third-round draft pick, that's all you're looking for. I don't think you're looking for multiple contracts, a franchise quarterback. If a franchise quarterback and you are picking him number 1 overall, yes, I would have problems with him being 25. But if you're picking him with the 71st pick in the third round and you can get 2 contracts out of him, that's all I'm looking for. I'm not even looking for 2 contracts. If you can get 2 contracts, that dude way outlasted your expectations. So I don't get why everybody cares about his age. The 4 years that his contract lasts is going to get him to 29. Now, let's say he signs a 3-year-long contract. He's 32 in the prime-ish of his career. I just don't understand that at all. I do like this pick because he fills the Cordell Patterson, and I'm not comparing him, just saying that Cordell Patterson, Devin Hester-ish role that you are missing with the signing of Jakeem Grant to the Browns and losing him and losing Cordell Patterson the year before that. You kind of need a kick return, and that's also addressed with the Tristan Ebner pick in the 6th round later on. But it was important to draft a guy that you see as a key contributor. I could see him as an immediate punt returner or kick returner, one or the other, but I could also see Tristan Ebner in that position too. One or the other, more likely Ebner as kick returner and Velus Jones Jr. as punt returner, where he had 15.1 yards per punt return. That is elite. That is elite. And even though his wide receiver tree is a little bit, limited, he runs a 4.3-1, guys. A 4.3 run, and he's built like a running back. Ryan Poles said that he wants to use him in a Deebo Samuel light role. That's not saying that he's Deebo Samuel or even 80% of Deebo Samuel, but that is saying that they value that position that Deebo plays, and they think that Velus Jones can play it, and I agree with that pick. So I give this pick a B-, only for the very reason that Bernard Raymond was on the board, and I think that pick could have helped the Bears a little bit more, depending on what you were looking at. But if you trust Larry Borum, and personally I do, then it's not as valuable as getting a star, but a very flexible wide receiver that you can use. And obviously you need wide receiver help with Byron Pringle and Darnell Mooney as your only other 2 options, and I'm not counting Equidemius drops the ball Brown. So, heading on to the next pick, the Bears had to wait a little while because they traded away quite a few draft picks in order to get to pick 168. Bears selected Braxton Jones, offensive tackle out of Southern Utah. This is a boom/bust potential, and the bust really doesn't matter in my opinion. You're picking a guy in the 5th round. If he busts, so what? If he's not on your roster in 2 or 3 years, or even if it's not a bust, if he's just a backup swing tackle, that's not a bust for a 5th round pick. But I do actually think that he could develop, if properly developed, he could develop into a starting left tackle, which is incredible value in the 5th round for a tackle, the same way that it was incredible value to get Charles Leno, no matter how average he was in the 7th round. So I think that this is a good pick. I think that it has a lot of value in it, and definitely I think with a little bit of experience, a little bit of development, you could possibly see a starter coming out of the 5th round as your left tackle. So, for that reason, I give it a B+. I don't see any risk in this pick, and picking extra offensive line depth when you massively need it is always a good thing. At pick 174, I have the Bears selected Dominic Robinson, defensive end out of Miami of Ohio. This guy is an actual beast in the sense that he can be a legit edge rusher with maybe a year of development and play some snaps here or there in year one. And when I mean actual edge rusher, I mean a starter. I mean him playing the same way that Trevor Gibson is playing now, getting 7 sacks with only about 60% snap count. That's amazing, especially for a 5th-round draft pick. So I think that is exactly what you're getting with Dominic Robinson, and for that reason, I give this pick an A+. It's just an absolute steal, in my opinion. With pick 186, the Bears selected Zachary Thompson, the offensive tackle / offensive guard, which is where he more grades out in the NFL, out of San Diego State University. I'm going to be honest, I know nothing at all about this dude. I did a little bit of looking up about him. I didn't see massive upside, so I'm giving this pick a C. Basically for the sense that I didn't watch any film whatsoever. But what I did read on him reports-wise and everything else like that, I did see that he could maybe compete, but I think that the later pick at 226, which I tier Carter, I think is actually the more boom pick than Zachary Thomas. I think he's the more safe pick. So that is a C. With pick 207, the Chicago Bears, they selected Doug Cramer, center out of Illinois. And let's be honest here, he's just your next Jared Patterson. I think that the Bears are going to let Jared Patterson go, not have to sign him to a big contract, and let the rookie come in and play his position as backup center / maybe. But here's the only thing with Doug Cramer is he doesn't really have the positional flexibility. He can't play guard the same way that Jared Patterson could probably play it in a crunch. So that is the only problem with Doug Cramer. But otherwise, he fits a role as a backup. And in the 7th round, that's fine with 6th round, that's fine by me. So I give it a B-. At 226, the Chicago Bears selected Jaquan Carter, guard out of Southern. Again, like I said earlier, this guy has a little bit of potential, maybe to be a starter in a 2-3 years you're looking at. Rather than this coming year. Yeah, he ain't going to play your guard this year. And if he does, the Bears are in a little bit of trouble probably. So that is good. So I gave it a B. Next pick, 254. First of the back-to-back picks, the Chicago Bears selected Elijah Hicks, safety out of California. Basically, the only thing I know about this guy was really happy to become a Bear. Going from the Golden Bears to the Bears. That's most of what I know about this guy. I think that he's a solid player, but I just wouldn't expect anything out of him. If he makes the roster, maybe be a little bit more intrigued. If he can beat out DeAndre Houston Carson, I don't think he beats out Dane Cruikshank just because Cruikshank fills that specific role that Elijah Hicks doesn't really, but maybe Hicks surprises us. So there. I gave that pick a C just because, again, I don't see much in it particularly, so an average grade. Then at 255, the Bears selected a much-needed punter out of NC State, Trenton Gill. I gave this pick a B because, well, he could be your starter week 1, so I can't give it really anything lower than a B. I was only disappointed that the Bears couldn't get punt god, quote-unquote, with Matt Ariza. He was definitely who I wanted. To be honest, I kind of forgot that we didn't have Pat O'Donnell until I'm like, wait, why did we draft the punter? I'm like, oh, wait, we lost our punter. So this is a probably week 1 starter, most likely. So I think that it's definitely a 7th round pick well worth spent. So overall grade that I give it is a B. It was a good grade. Not a good grade. It was a good draft. Not an elite draft like the Lions or maybe the Texans or the Jets, but it was a good draft. And with no first-round pick, there's not much you can expect to be super great from the GM, but I really do like where he was heading. It's a good draft. It fills positions of needs, and I think it gets the job done. So, as always, make sure you hit the 2 videos down below, hit the subscribe button up here, and as always, like I said, have a great day. Bye.